Hey guys, welcome to another Ball and Chain podcast. Today is episode 238. I have with me, as always, it's my angel. How
Hello.
you doing?
Um, I'm okay.
You
Trying
look
to figure something out on Photoshop on Lightroom, and I think I'm just gonna have to take it into Photoshop.
take it into Photoshop. All right, so we're here to talk about some video games, board games, um, TV shows, comics, pretty much anything we find interesting and entertaining. Give our 2 cents and hopefully, you guys will chime in with your 2 cents. Let us know what you think and join in the conversation. You can watch us live on Facebook. You can also watch us live every Thursday on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI. Um, Before we get into today's show, let's talk about what we've been up to. We missed last week. Um, Everett just Everett just wasn't having it. He's not so much. Well, as you guys know, the podcast before he interrupted and you
Yeah.
had to duck out early, so I had to close solo. But that's okay. That's okay. That's kind of what happens when you have a newborn, or
Well,
he's not
he's not
really
quite a
not a
newborn
newborn anymore.
anymore.
He's 8 months old, so
Yeah.
so yeah, so he kind of dictates who and when we can record, and it was just it just wasn't happening last week. So this week we are back, and what have you been up to?
I've been wedding season has kind of started creeping in. I've got 2 weddings in the last couple weeks. May's looking like we've got. I'm shooting 2 and editing 3 because I've got one that's like a double book from a COVID push. Um, Working like crazy, waiting for the school year to finish out. Got new phone because we realized during one of the weddings that my battery was dying really fast, which is really not helpful.
No, definitely not. When you're trying to keep a schedule, when you're trying to make sure you're getting. I mean, I don't know about you, but I usually have like a list of shots that I want to make sure I get on my phone, and then also like I use my phone for like schedule or whatever. So like if they want to go to a certain spot, or if a lot of times the photographer heads that up, so like they'll usually send me like addresses and stuff like that, and that's my navigation, it's my communication device. So yeah, if you don't have your phone, you're
Yeah,
kind of ouch.
yeah. So it was time for a new one. Upgraded to the 12
iPhone
Pro
12 Pro
Max.
Maximum Ultimate Super might as well be a tablet.
Yeah, it is. It is bigger. Um, I haven't really noticed huge differences in what it does. I mean, I know it's a 5G. Um, it's got the 3 cameras, which okay. Um, Battery life is obviously way better than what my
Right.
previous one was, just because it was 2.5 years old. Um, got a good trade-in deal, so we figured it was time to move along with that.
Yeah.
Um, that's about my life.
What do you think of it so far?
Um, it's good. Like I
I
said,
mean, there's
it
nothing
doesn't
nothing that stands
nothing
out
like huge.
besides the battery.
I mean, I know there's big leaps between the 10 and the 12, but I'm sure there are. I guess not noticeable for what I use. I mean, I take pictures with it, and I'm sure the camera is better. But
Yeah.
um, with the 3 cameras, I get bigger wide angle, like because it goes to 0.5 instead of 1. Like I can zoom out more than I could before.
Gotcha. Cool.
At least that I knew of.
Sweet. All right. So this week, actually, well, last week and this week, construction on the fence has continued and then immediately come to a halt.
Rain.
Rain. I did get one post up, and then after doing some measurements, quickly realized that the post holes that were there originally, which I intended to use, were not 8 feet apart. Not one of them. So eventually, so we are going to put the old picket panels back up, but just with new 4x4s and new, like a new cement pour and all that stuff. But the plan is eventually to take those old pickets down, and once pricing of wood and lumber and all that go down, replace those picket panels. So yeah, rather than cutting and matching these, cutting and matching the new ones to whoever designed this fence needs to resign immediately. Like, they did a horrible job on almost every single level of this fence construction. But yeah, so the plan is to redig. I basically, all the holes are about somewhere between 6 to 12 inches off. So some of the holes I'll be able to use some of it, and I've got to basically dig, the 12-inch diameter hole, and then stick in the insert, and then backfill in the other side so that my posts don't wobble, and because that would be terrible. I've actually considered just shifting the fence over like 4 or 5 feet, so I just dig all new fence holes, because I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of scared about the integrity of this fence going up, because of all these holes are going to be basically 1.5 times wide than what they're supposed to be. And if like the hole doesn't get backfilled properly, like it could wobble. And
yay.
So I've been
It's to the point where it's like, just if it wasn't a huge fence, it wasn't going to cost like a whole ton. Like, just have someone come take care of it.
Well, the neighbor said his son gave him a quote of $4,000, and that was like his son, like, family discount. Like, this is what it costs me to do it.
And this is just one side of our yard.
One side of the fence. Like, we still have the back and then that side. Like,
yeah.
And the one in the back is getting to the point where it's like, it's whapper jawed, and
Yeah.
the one on the right seems okay.
Yeah.
But this one, and who knows who knows?
Become a huge pain in the butt.
Yeah. So I don't know. Who knows? Let's see here. So then we've got that, and then so the new project that actually hit our driveway, quite literally, today, which was supposed to be delivered tomorrow, was the lumber for our deck. We're going to put a deck out here on the left-hand side of our backyard, hopefully eventually to house or be home to a hot tub. For now, it'll just be...
That's the dream.
That's the dream. For now, it'll just be a deck for patio furniture and stuff like that, so we can kind of step out of the patio furniture and the grass type of look. You all right down there, Gladys? Holy smokes.
Yeah.
So that's the next project or whatever. But that one should only be like an afternoon.
Right, it's not one that's going to be like dug down into the ground.
No,
it's not.
It's literally like a platform. I'm going to try to make sure that the ground is graded, is as level as can be, because I don't want it to rock. And
right.
So that probably will take the longest point, but it's just going to be square. It's not going to be stepped up or anything like that. It's literally just going to be a box with, decking on top. That's it. No rails, no digging.
I know. When I saw the lumber sitting on the driveway, I'm like, this can't possibly be all there is. Like, that didn't look like there was very much there.
Doesn't look like there's very much out there. But there's enough out there. I went out and was kind of, in my head, kind of measuring, like, what would it be, where everything goes and all that stuff. So, all right. So what we're going to be, let's see, today's show, we are going to be talking about, we've got some new Resident Evil news that came out today. We've got, some of this stuff is old because we didn't do a podcast last week, so some of this is rehashed from last week, so I apologize for that. But anyway, there was an IGN, Ryan McCaffrey did an interview with the devs that are doing Project 007, so a new Bond game. So they did an interview with that, so we'll be talking about some of the highlights from that. And then one of our favorite games, Fables, got announced an expansion, and then it just released. Like, literally, announcement, this is what it's going to be, and then, hey, look, here it is. Like, it's one of those things, like, where it's, like, if you come from, like, the video game space, that never, ever, ever happens.
Right, you're used to things being known like 2 years in advance.
Yeah,
At
like
least.
hey, this has been in production for so many years, and this, heck, you've got companies that are like releasing games in like beta form, like that they take that information back, and even in alpha form, and change the game, tune the game, make look at like Baldur's Gate 3 is still in development, but they've released so much of it at this point. You can almost, I mean, I doubt I'm over exaggerating about playing through the whole game, but it feels like you can play through the whole game and it hasn't been released yet. It's just like,
Right.
the hardcore fans have already played it. Like, can you just release it for the rest of us? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know how I feel about those types of like releases. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
Core game, like a core single player game is kind of but like a multiplayer, that's kind of fun. Like with like when we had like the Halo multiplayer betas and stuff like that, that was kind of fun. Where we got like was it Halo 3 where we had like the snow level with the two like bases or whatever, and then you had like high ground, and I don't know. I think that's okay. I'm not really fond of like single player alpha and betas like that. I don't know. Is that him? I thought I heard him.
I
Maybe
thought
not.
I heard it too. But...
And then so let's go and start. Oh, and then we also have an after show where we're going to talk about the final episode of the Walking Dead season 10 extension or whatever.
Yeah.
The Here's Negan episode. So there will be spoilers in there, but that will be after the very end of the show. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in that. So let's talk about what we've been playing, which really isn't that much. We did play a little bit of Villagers. We had one of our buddies over that we haven't seen in quite a while. Played some Villagers, which is
I've had time to be pregnant and have a baby kind of quite a while.
right.
That's what happens when you're in quarantine.
Right. We had been pregnant, haven't seen anybody in a while, and then pandemic, all wrapped into one. So yeah, it's just like.
Well, no, I mean it's been that long, like long enough that like. I was my entire pregnancy, and now we have an 8-month-old.
Oh, like, yeah. I gotcha.
The whole,
but it's been about a year.
Lifetime.
It's been almost a year since we've seen him.
Over
a year. So yeah, but so we played some Villagers. This is kind of it's a card game, kind of like a civilization type of building game. It's a deck building game, a drafting game where you're not deck building, excuse me, a drafting game where you're kind of drafting. Not really sets, but like groups of people. So like
occupations.
Occupations. There you go. That's a good. So like you've got like a hayer will be like a bed maker, which will be or you can you basically have these different groups of people that go into specializations, and you're trying to gain the most coin, and then but it's a really fun. Sometimes quick, sometimes it can take a little bit of time.
The gameplay itself is quick. It's just a matter of how fast the people you're playing with are at deciding what they want to do. I feel like a lot of it's just kind of sitting there waiting for someone to decide what they're working on.
There can be a lot of that, like, and they call it analysis paralysis, where you're just trying to analyze what's happening and what is your best course of action, because it's all known information. Even some of the stuff in your hand can be known because it has like the occupation of like what kind, not exactly occupation, but like the chain that you're in. So like the grain people have a grain logo on the back of the card. The leather worker will have like leather working logo on the back of the card, and all the people that are connected with them will have that same back. So even stuff that's in your hand is still like somewhat like, oh, I see you've got some grapers over there or whatever. But there's not much you can do about it. I mean, there's a little bit of interaction there, but no, but it's a really fun game. I highly recommend it. We did there should be a how to play and a review up on our YouTube channel, so definitely check that out. And then we also just got Bargain Quest. And we got through one round, one round of a game before Everett woke up and the boys had to go to bed. But what did you think so far of it? I mean, we only played a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed fun. I'd like to try it and actually get through it.
Nah, I bought it and I was just like, we're only going to play one round and that's it. And it's going to sit on the shelf and we're done. No, Eli seemed pretty excited. He wanted to play it again. When I tucked him in for bed, he was like, "Can we play that game again?" I was like,
That's good.
yes, we can.
Please.
Please, please." um, no, but so Bargain Quest is it's an interesting game in the sense that you're not playing as the adventurers. You're playing as like shopkeepers that are outfitting the adventurers.
Right. Although you do then kind of play as the adventurers too, so
Kinda. I mean, like
because you have
your
to.
adventurer goes out in battles, and you kind of see the result of that. I mean, you
Right.
don't get anything. Well, I guess you do get victory points if they survive or successfully hit the monster or the boss. So there is that. So I guess there is some stake in whether they live or die. Um, I'd be interested. I'm really interested in getting through it a little bit more because there seems to be a lot of like cards, item cards. Like there's character cards that they have like they're like mages. They're like different classes of RPG characters. So rogue, warrior, paladin, things like that. But there's items that you put into your shop, and then you can sell them because they're all carrying a certain amount of gold, and you sell them these cards or these items, and there's some of them that do some really interesting things. They don't just like give like plus attack and plus defense. Some of them have some really cool effects, and I didn't spoil it for myself and go like I normally would and go through and read all the cards. I just was like, no, let's see how this plays out. So I'm really interested in getting into that a little bit more. Okay, so let's so here first up is Stuff Fables expansion. So Stuff Fables is a board game that I don't know when it came out. It was a while ago, but it's kind of like a role playing. You play as these stuffed animals of this little girls, I believe. It's been a while since we played it. We can go back and finish the campaign. But you play as these like little stuffed animal characters, and you work your way around this board defeating different enemies, and you've got like little miniatures and stuff like. It's very grid based. The combat and movement, I believe, is tied to like all tied to dice. So you pull dice out of a bag, and that kind of tells you what you can do and what type of attacks and things like you can do. So Z-Man Games announced that they were coming out with an expansion, and to be honest with you, I didn't even know Z-Man was involved with Stuff Fables.
Did they get bought by it or something?
Plaid Hat Games did some. They did some selling off of some of their games. So like, I think Fantasy Flight now owns Dead of Winter, the rights to Dead of Winter. Apparently, again, like they owned it before. I guess I don't know, but so maybe Z-Man bought into it. I'm not sure, but it was on their website, so who knows. But oh brother is the name of the expansion. You're getting 2 new playable characters plus their mini. It's all in in an adventure book. So this is one of those games where there is no game board. It's you have an adventure book, which is a spiral bound book that opens up and lays flat, and it's got like all the rules and the movement and everything for that particular scenario. It's got like kind of like the game setup and all that stuff, and then it also has like the grid, which sometimes goes over the spine, sometimes it doesn't. But it's kind of neat in the sense that it doesn't have a game board. And I really enjoy those. We've got like
Like Quirky Circuit.
yeah, Quirky Circuits is another one that's a similar vein. And this is not a standalone game, so you have to have there's elements that you need from the original to actually to use in the expansion. Which this is actually not the first expansion for Stuff Fables.
There's like a downloadable one or something,
Yeah,
right?
right after they released it, there was a downloadable expansion. I don't know. I think there was a couple game boards for it. There was 2 new playable characters, but you couldn't get the minis for it. But people on Etsy, thank God, and their 3D printing awesomeness, have designed and are selling these models, which are it's really cool. So if you want to be the completionist, You can head over to those Etsy stores and pick up, the two. One's a giraffe. I think one's a giraffe, and I can't remember what the other one is. I don't remember. But anyway, this expansion has, I believe, a action figure and like a unicorn. Yeah, it's an action figure and a unicorn.
That's cool.
Yep. So they talk about in here the action figure, since he's not a actual stuffed animal, he's got different. He doesn't use like the stuffing health hit points. So like all these animals, since they're all stuffed animals, they all have different values for their stuffing, and like if you lose so much stuffing, then you're considered knocked out, and so forth. Well, he's got a different mechanic for health. They don't tell you what it is, and of course they cover it up in the picture of where it would be. But there's new bad guys, a new villain, stuff like that. But I'm really excited because Stuff Fables it's a really good game. The other thing that's really cool, I don't know, I was going to open it up, I'm not going to, is at the end of each level, there's kind of like a passage or whatever, and there's learning opportunities for kids, so it's great.
Oh, like a moral to the story.
Yeah, it's kind of like a moral to the story, but like and it's really good. I mean, it's a great game for adults because it's the combat's interactive, the gameplay is a lot of fun and engaging, but for the kids side of it, you get that extra morality involved and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. If you've got any, I mean, it's what does it say? 7+, which I think that's probably. I don't think I would go much lower than that because from what I remember, it can get pretty daunting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's Stuff Fables. Oh brother. Okay. So moving on. Project 007. So like I said, IGN's Ryan McCaffrey got to sit down with it. The company's name is IO Interactive. His name is Hakan Abrak. I can't say that. But anyway, they're doing the new James Bond game, and they did like a little interview, and they talked about where they got inspiration from, how the game design's going, and things like that. Some of the key points, and it's on IGN's website, so you can definitely check it out there. I highly recommend you do. But it's interesting because they're designing a game that's not linked to a movie, which is a good thing in my opinion, because a lot of times these movie tie-ins we talked about this the other day with like board game tie-ins to movies and games. They sometimes can be,
it's more or less you just buy it because you like the
right.
the title.
Right, you're invested in the IP and like, oh hey, look, I can, it's like buying a shirt or something like that because you like the brand or you like the game or whatever. But so it's going to be an original story, and they're not even using like any one James Bond. So like they're not using like a Daniel Craig model. They're making their own James Bond. One of the things that has me kind of piqued my interest is that they're pulling in inspiration from all the Bond films to make this game and like shape this story, shape the characters. The development team that is the IO team is the same team that makes Hitman, the video games. So kind of in a similar vein. Bond isn't necessarily a hitman, but that secret agent, spy, reconnaissance, it's not like a run and gun like Halo, right? It would be odd if this was being made by Bungie or 343, but a game, this is clearly a game design company that has, some knowledge in, first or third person, animation and game design and kind of stealth and stuff like that. So that is Project 007. I think that's a working title. I don't think that's the actual name of it. And then let's see here. There we go. So Resident Evil. Let's see here. Where did it go? So Capcom held a special Resident Evil showcase to share some of the information about an upcoming Resident Evil, about the upcoming Resident Evil Village game coming out that's due out on May 7th. The video outlined a demo that's going to be releasing. Looks like PlayStation's going to be getting it early. It's going to be on April 17th and the 24th. And then Xbox and Stadia and Steam, they're all getting it on May 1st. But you're getting basically 60 minutes of gameplay for 30 minutes for each of the levels. So there's 2 different maps. There's a castle map or area, and then the actual village area that you're going to be able to play around in. So you get 30 minutes each for those. The one thing I found interesting is the demo itself is timed. So once you start it, you have 8 hours to finish your 30 minutes on each. So once it hits an 8 hour period, it's cut off. No go anymore. So it's kind of, just found it kind of interesting that they're doing that type of demo. So the other thing that I found on Game Informer's website was they got a sneak peek at the upgrade mechanics in the game. So the upgrade in Resident Evil, the upgrade system has wavered from nothing to a very in depth and kind of everything in between. So knowing that there's going to be some type of upgrade system in here isn't a surprise, but it seems pretty legit. One of the newer things that they're introducing is like a cooking type of upgrade system. So you can now hunt for like wild animals and bring them into some type of kitchen or something. Like there's a place to craft food or whatever. So that's I believe this is the first one. I mean, outside of like mixing the herbs or whatever to, gain health, to make medicine and stuff like that. Outside of that, I think this is the first time that you've been able to make food and alter your character at all. Which they did say in the video that it's gonna most likely be required as far like to get further on in the game. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be something that you can't overlook, that you actually have to invest in. They also outlined some of the upgradability as far as the weapons go. So like things like power, rate of fire, reload speed, and ammo capacity. That's all stuff that you can now alter and upgrade, which that has been in more recent games, being able to upgrade those things and stuff like that. So Resident Evil The Village releasing on May 7th. That's really, really exciting. But being able to play the demo, I mean, demos are great for learning how games work and stuff like that, and if it's going to be for you. But yeah. Awesome.
Sorry, don't have a lot of input on a lot of the stuff.
You're good. So basically, the last part here, I want to talk a little bit about what is going on as far as the channel goes. I haven't quite figured out how I want to introduce this into the podcast, so I'm just going to kind of say it. It's going to be kind of weird, but so last week on the channel we released last 2 weeks rather, we released 4 videos. 2 learn to plays, one for King of Tokyo and one for Last Defense. So those are now up on the YouTube channel. And then we did 2 reviews, one for Dice Forge and another one for Taverns of Tiefenthal. So definitely check those out. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure you like and leave a comment if you've seen those videos before, or seen those games or played those games before. I'd be curious, or what looks interesting to you. Going up next week is going to be a learn to play on Flashpoint Fire and Rescue, which is a super fun, like, play as a fireman type of game. And let me tell you, that learn to play video was probably one of the hardest to record. I haven't edited it yet, but I know it's going to be a pain in the butt. So I'd really appreciate if you guys watched it. A lot of work goes into those. Like,
it's not for your you don't need to record a video to teach yourself how to play.
Well, you tell you what, sometimes it's actually good because I can go, I write out the script, or the outline. It's not really a script; it's more of an outline, and then actually going back through and learn. Some of these things. The King of Tokyo thing.
Oh, yeah, you're like, oh crap, we've been playing this.
We've been playing King of Tokyo wrong. There's a couple. We screwed up. What was it? How choosing player one? You had to roll the dice, and whoever got the most claws goes first. I never knew that.
Done that?
No, we'd never done that. We always just pick someone to go first, and then.
Which, I mean, when you play with the kids, sometimes you just kind of got to go with.
Right. But the other thing that we were messing up was the first player doesn't go into Tokyo. It's the second player that goes into Tokyo. So we were kind of screwing that up too. So you learn something new, even when you thought you knew everything about the game. Something as simple as learning King of Tokyo.
Right.
And then next week there's also a unboxing of Otis, which is over there. We haven't played that yet. I'd like to play that. It's an underwater scuba diving game. So that's new and what's going on the channel going up this week. So make sure you get subscribed, hit the little notification bell. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel because that's where all these videos are going up. I don't upload them to the Facebook page because that's just too much. This is just streaming. So that's episode 238. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. Did you get some work done?
Yeah, actually.
Good.
I should have it done in the next day or so.
Oh, I thought you meant in like the next 15 minutes. Like, oh, well, we can talk for 15 more. Oh, we've got the Walking Dead thing. So, make sure you stay. Make sure you stay after the at the end of the show. Here, we'll be doing our after show with the spoilers of The Walking Dead. Thank you guys for watching. Really do appreciate it. Make sure you get subscribed. Like I said, hit the little bell notification so you know every time we go live or upload a new video. Like I said, we're uploading about two videos a week, and then also trying to record the podcast every Thursday. We try to go live at 9 o'clock. Today we did good. We were actually early.
That's good.
Links will be down in the description below. If you guys find anything interesting, want to purchase anything that we've talked about, there's Amazon links. They are affiliate links, so if you do purchase something, Amazon will give us a kickback for sending you there. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a great way to support the channel, and tell Amazon we sent you. So, and you don't have to do anything. You just click on the link and hit buy. Yeah. You don't have to remember code or type in names or anything like that. It's just click buy. So definitely check those out. Like I said, we really appreciate you watching, and we will see you guys next week. Remember to stay after the after show. We will be talking about the Here's Negan episode from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago? Last week? The week before?
It was April 1st.
Yeah,
right? So
2 weeks. 2 weeks ago. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next Thursday. Peace. I need something to drink.
I like this image.
I'm going to mute. I'm going to send them out. Drink a book. Lights off.
Here's a line.
All right. So, Spoiler warning. We are going to be talking about the Here's Negan episodes of The Walking Dead. So if you haven't seen it yet, now is the time to tune out. All right, so yeah, April 4th was when the episode went live. Let's see here. It was the 22nd episode of season 10, the last and final of the extended series. Kind of a brief synopsis is with Maggie back in Alexandria, Carol takes Negan on a journey, hoping to minimize the increased tension. There, Negan has too much time to self-reflect and comes to the conclusion about his future. Dun, dun. Talk about a cliffhanger. Like, that makes it sound like he kills himself.
No. No.
So, this episode reminded me of Lost. This is a flashback of a flashback. A flashback within a flashback. So, the synopsis is right. There's really, I mean, it's pretty much Negan. Carol's in there a little bit. But she kind of escorts Negan to the cottage where
Daryl's girlfriend Leah.
Leah. I think it's Leah. We keep
I don't know
doing
why
this.
we
We
can't
keep
remember her
doing
name.
this. We can never remember her name. So forgettable. Leah. We're just gonna say Leah.
I mean, it was only one episode.
Right.
Like,
This is true. And she had what, like a whole 10 lines.
I don't know.
Anyway. So she basically set up shop, had all his stuff there for him, and she's like, "This is your new home." You know, just trying to relieve, trying to save from conflict essentially. Cause
Right. He did ask, like, is this decided on by the council, or is this a Carol going rogue thing?
that's right.
And she just kind of smiled at him, like,
right. This is a really good episode. Like, by far, one of my favorites. I'm probably a little biased because I really like the Negan character. And I just like his story arc. But this one goes way back to, like, right as the outbreak started. Well, actually, probably, no, even before that. Before the outbreak started, we got a little bit of him.
as it was
Was
happening.
it as it happening?
Yeah. Because you hear as, like, the first part of the flashback is his wife getting her diagnosis. And when she gets in the car, it talks on the radio about assailants eating the flesh of their victims or something.
So it was like
So
just
it's like right as it started.
right. So I don't think it was like everybody's out on their own gunning for everybody yet. It was still fairly new.
People didn't know what was happening.
People didn't. Yeah.
The government was still kind of covering up the murders, and
Right. Exactly.
you kind of saw some of that in the Fear the Walking Dead, like when it first started, and the cops were pulled on, had people off the side of the road, and they kind of watch this person reanimate, and they're like, oh my gosh. And
Right. So this is like just
sounds like that's kind of
yeah.
what's
So about
happening.
that timeline. So Negan and his wife. So Negan is you get the backstory of him being a high school gym teacher who was removed because of an assault with another person at a bar.
Yeah, they do talk about that.
So he's kind of in between jobs or whatever, and there's this cute little scene where he's playing video games and yelling at kids over like Xbox
Yeah.
Live or whatever, and so his wife is not very happy with him. It's not in a good place, and basically on top of that, besides yelling at 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds or whatever, he's also cheating on her.
Yeah,
And so you kind of see this,
which you don't know that right in that time. You kind of learn that.
Right. She says, hey, I've got a doctor's appointment I need to go to, and he tells her that he's got something with his parole officer, so he can't make it. And that's where she finds out that she's got cancer and he's not with her. Well, then she finds out that, hey, he's being unfaithful, which is kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Not kind of shitty. That is shitty. What am I talking about? That is shitty. So you also get some, fast forward a little bit, and actually, well, I guess we kind of skipped over the fact that the flashback is Negan sitting in a chair, getting interrogated about where he got these meds. And it turns out that it's his wife's chemo meds. So, yeah, that's where kind of the flashback starts. And then he starts telling a story about the story so far, that he's currently been through. So it's kind of like I said, the flashback inside the flashback. What else goes on in there? You kind of learn about what where the medicine is coming from and how he kind of held the doctors up at gunpoint with an empty weapon.
Yeah. You do see the origin of one of his first saviors. Did you realize that? I did not realize that. I went back and read an article. So it's a doctor and his daughter. Is that what they said? That so. Was running it out. And the girl who, because as he's bringing the medication home, he gets taken by this group of bandits. I think they called him or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he ends up giving up the location of the doctor. He doesn't want to, but in order to save the medication to get to his wife, he gives up the location of the doctor. Are we saying what happens when he gets home?
Yeah, that's fine. That's a spoiler. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets home.
You've been warned.
He's been gone for a little while because he said he's been tracking this doctor for a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. And so he's been gone for a little while, but gets home and finds that his wife has passed.
It looks like she killed herself.
She had herself chained to the bed
and a bag over her head.
There was, and it said, "Don't leave me like this." I think written on the door.
Yeah.
Because clearly she knew she turned into a zombie, and he didn't. I kind of initially.
I took that differently.
Initially, I thought it was like, "Don't leave her," like because she didn't want him to go off on the road.
Right. That's how I took that. I didn't take that as like, "Hey, I'm going to turn into a zombie. Don't leave me as a zombie." I took that as kind of like guilt tripping him. Like, you left me. Like, well, I told you not to leave me, and this is what happened.
That's how I initially read it, and then I was like, "Well, wait a minute. No, she probably knew she was going to turn into a zombie, and it was like a note from beyond the grave, like a hey." Make sure to take care of my body. Don't let me stay a zombie. I don't know.
We see the origin of Lucille. Like, well, his wife's name's Lucille, but the bat.
Right.
The one nurse knocks him out.
Right, but that's what I was getting to. So he goes after he takes care of his wife's body, mm-hmm. and he goes back to rescue the doctor and his daughter, and that is one of the first. They become the first saviors. If we go back and look at her, and then go back to him and the saviors, I can't think of what her name is. I was thinking it starts with an L too.
Leah.
She gets killed in the Whisperer War by Beta, I think.
Really?
Is what I read.
Huh. I'll look it up right now.
Sorry for radio silence here.
Radio silence.
But yeah, I haven't had a chance to go back and actually take a look at that yet, but that was what I had. Was that it gives an interesting origin story to that.
Yumiko was in this one?
To that savior. No.
Or is this just a list of everybody?
That should just be a list of everybody. Whatever you're looking at.
There's Lydia.
What are you looking at?
IMDb. I looked up Here's Negan episode, and it's got.
Oh, it'll probably have everybody.
I think.
I would just Google to find what you're trying to find. My computer's being slow because it's trying to do a bunch of photo editing,
Like,
processing stuff. So I would just I can probably do it on my phone.
Here's Negan.
Just say origin of first savior. And this is stuff we probably should have for you before we actually.
Yeah. Should, but we don't. Here we go. Okay.
Do you recognize her face now?
She does look a little familiar. She does look familiar.
Yeah, she's kind of like one of the right-hand people. You see her quite a bit. I don't think she has a ton of speaking parts. Laura. Her name's Laura, too.
Yeah, Laura. Yep.
I recognize that like barcode on her neck.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize it was the same person until I went back and read this thing. This is Screen Rant here, this particular article. But that's kind of, I guess, how she joined the Saviors. Yeah, killed by Beta in the Whispering War. I guess she became part of the council in Alexandria.
It's interesting. But yeah, she's the one that hit him over the head with what would become Lucille.
Right.
And essentially after, well, Lucille before barbed wire, obviously.
Well, she didn't hit him with Lucille.
Yeah, she hit him with the bat that becomes Lucille. So then after Negan leaves his wife, like his
Burns down his
zombies,
house.
yeah, he burns down the house and he basically cuts down barbed wire, and maybe it's before he burns the house down. I think he makes Lucille beforehand and then walks out because he's kind of got that stride.
Oh, it shows us the origin of his leather jacket too.
Oh yeah, so his famous leather jacket was actually purchased on a credit card after he had lost his job, and his wife, while she was still alive, was pissed off about it, and she's like,
it. She was going to return it, but she didn't have enough time.
Right. Well, no, he didn't have the receipt. He's like, she's like, I'm returning this tomorrow, and he goes, I got rid of the receipt. And he goes, fuck.
Yeah, well, she took it because she had it in store, and then during, obviously, the apocalypse, money didn't really matter anymore. Whatever, she brought it back out and gave it to him.
Yeah, it was really cute because and she knew that he had been cheating on him this whole time, and she
didn't tell him she knew.
Right, but the reason was because he basically turned over a new leaf or whatever, and
took care of her.
She saw that, so like she's like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. And then she had like this anniversary. He's like, oh my god, how do you know what day it is? Like she goes, I don't. Let's just celebrate. And she's like, I got you something. And he pulls out the jacket. He's like, oh my god, you kept it.
Yeah,
it was sweet. It was very sweet. And then he beats Glenn's head in, and he rams the head.
I know. It's hard because you really hate that character, but then he does have some good redemption moments later on, saving.
It's such a good character arc.
Saving Judith in the blizzard, and
there should be a video game about
Lydia.
being Negan. Like literally, like that. Can you like that would be such a great if it spanned Apocalypse Day 1.
Well,
present day. Like
the funny thing is so many people. What's happening? So many people quit watching the show over like the gratuitous violence that happened during that episode with Negan and Glenn and Abraham. But now after that Here's Negan episode, so many people are really invested in the character. And they're now in talks with him about doing like just a Negan spinoff.
Really? That's awesome.
I don't know if it'll happen, but
it better happen. Like
I've heard, and I don't know if that's just rumors, but that's kind of what I've been reading, and it's just funny because so many people were like, "Oh my god, this character is awful, and he's so over the top, and he's."
But he's supposed to be like that's the thing. Like he's supposed to be over the top. He's very much like. I mean, it's kind of like
a comic book. Comic books are people are crazy in comic books. Like,
well, like
comic books get very, very dark.
Well, not only that, but like the language. Like they've toned down the language for his character like a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like there's some of the stuff that he says you can't say on broadcast television. Like it.
Well, and it's just weird. I didn't realize. I guess I'd never been a comic book reader. But you come to find out too. Like even, excuse me. Like you think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being a little kids show, and that was very much from what I've heard and in watching various shows about the comics and things. It was very like dark. Like there's aspects to it that are very grown up and not really meant for kids.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up. So like the newest comic, and I don't know if it's lore canon or whatever. I'm not that far into comics, but like the newest set of comics is called for the Ninja Turtles is called The Last Ronin. Ronin. I think it's Ronin. And three of the four brothers have died.
Yeah.
And you don't. They spoiled it after the first issue. They spoiled who's the remaining one, but that's pretty dark. And like he's carrying he took off his mask. He's not wearing a mask anymore, and he's carrying all of his fallen brothers' weapons. So you don't know who it is, but
yeah,
it looks and the sad part is like it's so dark that you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely Raphael. Like he would be the one to like seek revenge and all that, but should I spoil who it is? Probably shouldn't. It's surprising who it is, and it's really sad too.
I think I know. I think you've told me.
Yeah, it is. I honestly like when I found out who it was like, oh, I really didn't want to read that. I probably wanted to read that in the actual comic book, but like I felt it. I was like, oh.
But yeah, I mean, just to say, like, comics aren't like necessarily for kids,
right?
And
well, and the show's not necessarily for a kid either.
Right.
I mean, it's what PG-13. Is that what it's? Isn't that what it's rated or whatever? Or
mature audiences or whatever.
Because it's like
it's
drug, sex, violence, language. Like I don't know.
Drugs.
They do drugs.
Walking Dead.
I think so. Don't they have drugs?
I don't know.
Anyway. So, what did you think of the episode?
It was good. Everyone has been talking from what I say. Everyone's been talking, like I know everyone.
Everyone, you know. Everyone.
I know everyone. No, from what I'm reading, and people are saying that they've really enjoyed the last 6 episodes because it kind of gets more reminiscent and back to what The Walking Dead originally was, and not. Because it has become kind of formulaic and like, here's this big baddie, we're going to do this, here's this war, here's the war with Negan, here's the war with the Whispers, now we're running from this guy, like... Don't
forget we split up our group and now we've got these people over here and now we're,
Right.
You do that 3 times and now you've got 4 different groups all over the place.
Not that I don't like what happened in the story and where things went, but I mean, that there is a point to that.
Formulaic is a very good word for that, for the TV series at this point.
Yeah, and I hate to say that, but it is kind of true. But a lot of what initially started in the I didn't watch Walking Dead to begin with. I don't care for horror genre at all. Don't like the nasty, gross stuff. You had started watching it, and I would always try to sleep or do something else, like avert my eyes, but then I'd hear it, and so I kind of got interested in what was going on. Went back and watched it on Netflix, and I guess what kind of got me on it was more of the backstory of the people and what they were doing to survive and how it changed them. It would kind of, if you go back and watch those first few seasons, you'd see the story progress, but you'd see the story progress very slowly as far as where they were going. I mean, the first 6 seasons was a matter of 2 years, 3 years. Mm-hmm. But you'd have like an episode that would kind of focus on a character, and you'd see like Michonne, and you'd learn more about kind of where she came from, not like in super detail, but you'd learn more about her. Right. Or you'd see kind of a backstory flashing back to where Shane was when he tried to get Rick out of the hospital, and learn a little bit more about kind of what happened there. And not necessarily focusing on running from a bad guy or running from a threat. It was more just about kind of them surviving and kind of trying to figure out, okay, what are we gonna do? Or this place is
We're running out
overrun.
of
This place is
food.
overrun. Oh, hey, here's Eugene. He thinks that he says that he knows people in DC who have a cure. So we're gonna try to figure this out.
Right. They almost ran. I mean, you're right. They almost ran out of like backstory episodes like that because I can't remember the last time that we like before these last 6 that we really saw like
That we got to learn more about the characters.
yeah. And I mean, and maybe they're planning because I mean they've got new characters. I mean they got new characters like with like Princess and stuff.
I mean,
like
so many
that.
people are so many of our people have died. Like
Right. I mean, and some of these people we have no. I mean, and maybe that's why I think that, and that might be another reason why people get kind of frustrated with the series is because like the new people that we have, we know where they came from post-apocalyptic, but we don't know where they came from before that. Like we don't have any backstory.
which we got to learn a little bit more about Princess and her, like the episode that kind of centered on her.
Right. And that's and that's like you said, the people
But like Yumiko, Magda, like that whole group, you really don't feel a lot of strong ties to them.
Right, and the thing is, like, you got a little bit of backstory about them, but it's only in conversation. Like, oh yeah, like it came up in conversation that she was your therapist, and now you're
Or lawyer.
or lawyer. Yeah, you're a lawyer, and you're dating your lawyer, or there's some
Right.
connection that's like, but we didn't get. I mean, saying it on screen, like verbally,
In passing, just one little conversation.
It's just like, oh, that's not really investing. Like,
Yeah.
take us back. Like,
Yeah. They've been so focused, I think, on like progressing some of the story faster, maybe? I don't know.
maybe it's
And you have so many groups and so many different people that it's hard to. I don't know. Before you had, your core group of survivors, your Carol, Daryl, Rick, Lori, Andrea,
Michonne.
which Michonne wasn't even necessarily in that initial core group,
That's
but
true. Dale. Oh, I miss Dale.
yeah, and it was, the first season was just like these, 7 to 10 people, and here's what they're doing.
But you can only carry that for so long.
You
I mean,
can.
you got to add in conflict and stuff like that,
And
which
people,
they did
people
really
are
well.
gonna die in this world. I mean, that's just kind of what happens
Yeah.
too. But so I guess that's why these 6 episodes. Now, some of them I felt were kind of slow. Some of them I didn't care as much about.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Daryl, I liked seeing where Daryl had been for the past 6 years during this time jump. But it just kind of felt, I don't know. But then again, he's been sitting in the woods for 6 years, so how exciting could it really be?
Right.
I mean, it introduced kind of a love interest. We don't really know what happened to her. She's kind of out there. I guess it gives us a little bit more insight into his current state of mind with Carol and the comparisons as to her running off. And
Yeah, I think the ones that I liked the Splinter one with Princess. That one was really good. The Negan one was very yeah. I didn't care so much for the Diverged one.
that's what I was just talking about with
the
one that got back into Daryl's backstory. He and Carol kind of got in a fight.
No, you were talking. That's Find Me.
Oh.
Diverged is the one where they split.
Oh, that's right. That's where the mouse was in the house.
Yeah,
and
that one
Daryl got lost on the road. Not lost. Well, his bike broke down.
Right, bike broke down and he had to fix it. Like I didn't care for that one. The Find Me one was okay. It was a lot of jumping around.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the backstory of that one.
Yeah. The Diverged one didn't really seem to press the story forward, and it didn't really give us any backstory. It just kind of was like, here's a day in the life of them. Like,
right,
okay.
Exactly. Which sucks because Carol is such a good character, and Jerry is such a likable character. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess they said some of the reasoning in doing this was they had already wrapped season 10, had started filming season 12, then COVID hit, and they were trying to find ways to I guess, do more filming with fewer
characters.
characters, and
Which is what made the original great. Like the original like the original startup great was there was only so many characters on screen. Heck, there's even fewer now, like in these episodes. So like, I think that's one of the main connections there is like, you've got too many people on screen at one time. Like, in one, I mean,
well, not necessarily on screen at one
not
time.
in one episode.
Well, not even that. I mean, even if they break off groups, sometimes, even like just after they got out of the prison, you'd have a Rick and Carl episode. Then you'd go to the Daryl and Beth, and then you'd go to Maggie and these guys. Like, you might not circle back around to what happened or what's going on with Rick for like 4 weeks.
Right.
Like,
yeah. You might get.
Wait a
like,
second.
One season might have like 2 Rick and Carl episodes, and then you'd be done. Like.
Right. Like, I was really interested in what these guys were doing over here, but I had to see what these guys were doing. And then I had to wait through 2 other groups of people to.
Right.
It just got to be, yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, so that's the wrap up to season 10. Season 11 is our last like proper season for Walking Dead.
I think 3 sections. It's supposed to be extended.
Yeah.
Starts this summer. Normally they don't preview until what, like October?
Mm-hmm. But they're doing extension, so
Starts earlier.
Yep. I'm excited. It's always interesting, no matter what, like we've seen a couple, like we didn't watch Dexter to a close. We watched we didn't watch Lost to it. Did we watch Lost to a close?
We watched all of Lost.
No, but I mean like live.
Yeah. We didn't. You didn't start Lost live.
Right, but we finished it.
And then we finished it live.
Right, and then Heroes, I believe we watched live. What was the other one that we did? Wasn't Dexter?
I don't know.
Can't think of what it was. There's another, but there's something about it. Well, Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Yeah, duh. There's something about just even if you're like Walking Dead is a perfect example of being invested in the show and falling off and coming back, a year or 2 later and catching back up, and seeing it to a close. I'm ready for it to be closed. I mean,
I'm interested to go back and catch up on Fear and some of the other spinoffs.
Yeah.
And get the whole picture of what's going on in the world.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would like to see tied up in this season that I mean, we know that there's going to be a Carol and Daryl spinoff. It'd be interesting if they tied that spinoff into this ending. You know what I mean? Like if they gave reason, like, hey, season 11 of Walking Dead, Carol and Daryl just suddenly I mean, they've already talked about it, right? Like they've already kind of set those.
Oh yeah,
they planted those seeds. Like,
let's
hey,
just walk off.
Let's
and
just ride
do
off
our own thing, and
and they've already, Carol's been on a boat. She and he doesn't seem too interested in that, but they have like kind of talked about just riding off together. So maybe I'm thinking if they can tie it in some way, like maybe not the final episode, but maybe the episode before or whatever.
Because right now it seems like he really feels that he needs to be taking care of Judith and RJ because Michonne's gone. So
they've got to give a reason for him to leave. Like that won't make any sense if they don't give that.
If he just is like, oh, I'm up and leaving. Oh, but he wouldn't just leave Rick's kids to their own devices. Like I feel like he has some kind of almost guardianship over them at this point.
Do you think they'd kill off the kids? I mean, they've killed off the kids before.
No, I don't think so. I would hope not. That would be awful.
Do you think they'll bring Michonne back for
just
episode?
a goodbye episode
And take the kids? What if that's how they? What if this final season how they introduce all the spinoffs? Like Michonne comes back with Rick, or Michonne comes back like, "Hey,
takes them to the Commonwealth."
Well, here's the thing though. Well, the thing is, if she comes back and says, "I found Rick," there is no way Daryl is not going.
Right. So why would he go with Carol? I don't know.
So there's a lot of things to work out if they want to set this up right, like. Or heck, maybe they end season 11 and everyone's just one happy-go-lucky family, and this spinoff is 15 years down the road, that gives opportunity for what we were just talking about, saying, hey, what happened in those 15 years? You know, give you some more backstory as to what happened and stuff like that. So,
Guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, they could take it a lot of different ways. Hopefully they don't fuck it up, but I'm sure they will. Sorry, that's the cynic in me coming out. All right, guys, that's all we got. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
No. Okay, you're ready for bed.
Yes.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Thursday. Peace.